Nobody told us that adulthood will feel like this. Nobody told us that one day you'd wake up and realize you're actually the adult now. There is no teacher coming to tell you what to do, no parent checking your homework, no one coming to tell you that you're making the right decision or not. You just have to figure it out. And somehow everyone expects you to know what you're doing. But the crazy part is a lot of us don't. We are just really good at pretending that we do. Now, here's the version of adulthood that we expected. When we were younger, adulthood seemed so straightforward, right? You go to school, you graduate, you get a job, you make money, you get married, you buy a house. And eventually, you become this confident, successful adult who has life all figured out. That's what we thought adulthood was. But then you actually become an adult and realize, wait a minute, who gave me this responsibility? Because suddenly you're worrying about rent, you're worrying about bills, career decisions, relationships, family, your future, your health, your parents getting older, your friends moving on with their own lives. And sometimes you're sitting alone thinking, am I doing this right? Am I? And social media even makes it harder because you open Instagram or TikTok and someone you went to school with is buying a house. Someone else just got married. Someone is traveling around the world. Someone just launched a business. Someone just became a CEO. Someone is having their second child. Someone is posting their new car, and you're sitting there thinking, what exactly am I doing with my life? Like, what am I doing? But here's something we don't talk about enough. You are comparing your behind the scenes to somebody else's highlight reel. You don't know what they are dealing with. You don't know how much debt they have. You don't know whether they are actually happy. You don't know what they are struggling with privately. You just see the announcement and you use their announcement as evidence that you are behind. And there's another part of adulthood nobody really prepares you for. Friendships change. When you're younger, friendships happen naturally. You see people every day at school, you hang out after class, you talk constantly. Then you grow up, everybody gets a job, people get married, people move, people have children, responsibilities increase. And suddenly you have friends who you genuinely love but barely speak to. You can go weeks, sometimes months without talking, and nobody did anything wrong. No, life just happened. And that's one of the strangest parts of growing up. You slowly realize that some people who were once such a huge part in your life become memories, not because there was a fight, not because anybody betrayed anybody. Life simply changed. And honestly, that's painful. You start questioning yourself. There are moments when you start questioning the decisions you've made. You wonder, did I choose the right career, or am I where I should be? Should I be married by now? Should I have children? Should I start that business? Did I waste my 20s? What if I had taken that opportunity? And sometimes the hardest question is, what am I actually doing with my life? I've had moments like that where I've questioned everything, and maybe you have too. You can look perfectly fine from the outside, while internally you're trying to figure everything out. And I think that's something we need to normalize, because I'm starting to think that you can be grateful for your life and still feel confused about your life. Yes, those two things can exist at the same time. But here is what I'm learning slowly. I'm learning that there is no point where you suddenly figure life out. There's no point. You just get better at figuring things out. That's different. Because I think we imagine that successful adults reach that this magical destination where everything makes sense. They don't. I'm in my early 30s and I don't have it figured out. There are people much, much older. Look at your parents. Do you think they have it all figured out? They don't. They just become more comfortable with uncertainty. They learn how to make decisions without knowing exactly what will happen. They learn how to fail without believing that failure means their life is over. They learn how to start over again and again. And they learn that sometimes you don't need a 5 year plan. Sometimes you just need to know what the next step is. So if you're watching this and you're in your 20s or 30s or even 40s and you feel like everybody else is ahead of you, I want you to hear this. You are not necessarily behind. You are just living a life that doesn't have the same timeline as someone else's. Maybe your journey took longer. Maybe you made mistakes. Maybe you changed your mind. Maybe you had responsibilities other people didn't have. Maybe you spent years trying to figure yourself out. Maybe you started over. Maybe you're restarting over right now, like I am doing. That doesn't mean you have failed. And please stop believing that adulthood means having everything together. You can have a good job and still be figuring yourself out. You can be married and still be growing. You can have children and still have dreams. You can have money and still have fears. You can be successful and still feel lost sometimes. Being an adult doesn't mean that you stop being human. And maybe that's the biggest lesson we are supposed to learn. So, yes, nobody told us that adulthood would feel like this. We were prepared to become adults, but nobody really prepared us for the uncertainty, for the loneliness, for the pressure, for the mistakes, for watching our parents grow older, for friendships changing, for realizing that some dreams won't happen the way we imagined, for starting over, for questioning ourselves, for realizing that we don't actually have all the answers. But maybe that's what adulthood really is. Not having everything figured out, but continuing anyway, getting knocked down and getting back up, changing direction when necessary, learning, growing, trying again, and slowly becoming the person you were supposed to be. So if you're somewhere in your life right now thinking, I thought I would be further by now, take a breath, my friend. You are not the only one. Most of us are figuring it out as we go. So you don't need to have your entire life figured out today. You just need to take the next step and then another and another. Because maybe adulthood isn't about finally having all the answers. Maybe it's about becoming comfortable with the questions and continuing to live anyway. If this video spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing about adulthood that nobody prepared you for? Let's talk about it. And if you're figuring life out too, you are definitely not alone. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and share this video as we build this community of people doing, people taking it a step at a time, people building their lives despite the uncertainty. I'll see you in the next video.